I think the first question that I think could be interesting to talk about is you're from Ahmedabad originally.
Yes.
Both of you went to the same school together.
Yes.
What's it like coming back to Ahmedabad, after the lockdown, like chilling here for a while?
I love this city. I don't know, there's something about the vibe of the people here that... Let me start from the beginning. I love that I'm from here.
Okay.
For example, I've gone to Chennai, I've been to music school, I've been abroad and played music and everything, but I love that I'm from here. There's a particular essence and there's a particular sense of urgency. That this city brings into everything that I do that I really enjoy. I'm not saying that here it happens all the time. It happens less often here as well because the mindset for those kind of arts is scarce.
Okay.
But the ability to be able to do that is available.
True.
And if you find the right kind of people, which I'm very lucky to have. So we went to a very interesting school as well.
Okay.
We have to speak about it.
Yeah, go for it.
How could we not? Right?
Get to the juice of it.
Mahatma Gandhi International IB school, beautiful place. Okay, Anju and Pascal, shout out. Have to. So this place was like.
When did you join MGIS?
I joined MGIS in my 9th grade.
9th grade. Okay.
So 9th grade.
So which grade were you in?
I was in 8th then. Because you were 1 year senior to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I was in the 9th, you were in the 8th. Exactly. So I remember joining from this really strict other school. I wouldn't call it strict, but it was just
Conservative,
very different vibe, and joining MGIS, and I'd had a very rough growing up phase, many medical problems, and really not into the academic side of being in school. So sports was my thing. And I came to MGIS, and that was the first moment in my life where communication became a thing.
Okay.
It's like... we entered school, I met all these new friends of mine who would end up being some of my closest friends, and our teacher, Meenu ma'am, being like, okay, so what is the project gonna be?
Okay.
and one of my friends was like, let's form a band. She did, okay, at the time, bro, there was someone who owned a drum kit. His name is Montu, I love him to death. Sharma Music represent, okay. So he had a drum kit, he had a music school, dad had a music store. He had a drum kit in the lab, and there were some really rusty instruments.
Yeah.
And so we started playing music.
Just like messing around.
An hour a day,
Okay.
just really badly. So I think when we speak about Ahmedabad, we had to speak about MGIS.
For sure.
The school was the starting point.
How was Raag like in school? Give me the...
Man, Raag was really quiet in
Really?
school. Yeah.
I find that super hard to believe.
Raag, attest to this, bro.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly active in school, and it's weird because like when we were in MGS together, like I wasn't into music at all back then. I did have a guitar. I was learning guitar, I think, and the friend who started the band is a guy called Savera.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so before Yohan was so the band was called Experiment 7.
Experiment
Was
7.
it Experiment 7? Because there was
I love how you
people.
wrote that name.
You
like-
were in the band before I was in the band.
I think it's time we started our new class project.
A science project?
No, it's called Rock Band.
Yeah.
You serve his position.
No. He played You played guitar.
I did.
Dude, look at this guy, bro. He's like
I was the phantom member.
Raag is like, I actually started all this shit. You all
I was
just
like,
came.
back before it was cool. It was
Yeah. I mean, you all came and made it all commercial. What's wrong with you?
No, but like
people?
legit, because I remember Savera approached me about it, and he was like, there's no other guitarist, so you kind of have to be in the band. And I was like, dude, I don't even, I couldn't even play the guitar quite frankly. And then there's suddenly like, we were playing Green Day and Hoobastank.
Blink-182.
Classics.
Yeah, Blink-182 and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, I can't. I was learning like the C
Basic
major
chords.
scale and
This
stuff.
is the G chord.
This is the G chord. I was like, I don't know any of this shit. And I think I played with Experiment 7 for one show with Zuhair on bass. And Kabir was, I think, the other guitarist.
Singer and guitar.
Singer and guitar,
Yeah.
Then after that, dude, like I was like, music is not my thing. I want to do.
Really? That's what you said about
Yeah, because like I wasn't interested in doing music up until like college. So I went through MGIS and I left in 10th grade.
Okay.
So you continued for DP1, DP2,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
I left in 10th grade and then went to Woodstock, but yeah, we didn't really interact too much
Right.
at that time because music was not really a big thing. And I remember Yohan being like, music. I want to play drums,
Yeah, sure,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. And
I was
he was
full on
so
into it in
enthused
school.
about it. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
so in my house in Ahmedabad, there's this. So my dad is an advocate.
Okay.
My mom is now a counselor, and they're very like, they let's just say we're very different from each other.
Okay.
And I ended up making some very bizarre friends in
Okay.
Ahmedabad through the music circuit. So I have this quiet, organized, neat house. And from one side, if you enter from the second door and you go into a basement, right? That used to be the music.
Like a
Yeah,
hangout.
right, yeah.
The music, no hangout.
Okay.
It was just one den, okay?
Okay.
And in this den, there was a drum kit, and my God, we used to play. I used to particularly play the drums very loud. So
Okay.
I used to love Travis Barker from Blink 182.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
he's
in
still
my
around,
head,
like he's still kicking
he's
it.
still
Yeah,
killing
yeah.
it.
I mean,
yeah.
I want to play like that guy, and
Okay.
he played really loud. So I was playing really loud. So as soon as you entered my society, Sunrise Park, you're like, I need a drum somewhere. And there was young me killing it. So there would be these bizarre people ringing the doorbell. My mom would be like, yes, who are you? And I'd be like, where's the band? And she'd be
Where's the
like,
rest
yeah,
of the
just go
band?"
in, it's fine, they're over there. So just these bizarre people would come over,
Right.
and I was damn enthused about
I remember
drumming
that.
and
Yeah.
playing music. And since the setup was at my place,
Okay.
everyone used to just come over
Okay.
and just
I think my next question is, what's it like now coming full circle? Like you've obviously grown up with people like Raag and a lot of
Yeah.
other musicians from school and from Amdavadi. And now you got the opportunity to collaborate with them.
Yeah.
You know, you've done like a session at Compass Box and an
Yeah.
upcoming one coming soon.
Yeah.
What's that been like? Like, is it exciting reconnecting with people
It's-
you've known for a while now?
It's the best feeling
Yeah.
that there, it's the
Absolutely,
best
yeah.
feeling that there is,
For
bro.
sure.
There's something about, like, for example, you go out into the world, you go out wherever you are, you collaborate, you meet different people. Some you vibe with, some you don't. Great.
Right.
But someone you knew from some
Back in the day,
moment
yeah.
in your life,
Yeah.
and you get to kind of collaborate with them again. It's just an ease of working that's
Yeah.
that is
True.
There's no, for me, that's a very special thing.
Right.
Like, it's happened with the guy we were speaking about, Savera. Savera and I have I've taken his guidance. He's a producer. I've always been the musician.
Right.
And I've had crazy ideas, and I've always gone back to him and been like,
Can you help
what do
me
you
more?
think of
work
this?
and-
And
yeah,
he's like,
right.
this is crazy. And I'm like, so
Right.
yeah, that's why I'm coming to you, no, bro. How do I make it not crazy? So, like, reconnecting with Savera, reconnecting with Kabir, reconnecting with Raag in that way, it's been amazing. It's a fantastic feeling.
Right.
You know?
That's interesting that you say it, because like the role of a producer, I've noticed even with like stuff we do at Compass Box, I've started to understand how important that is.
Yes.
Like what you said about having at least someone to go back to and be like, is this working? Is this not working? Rag, what do you think that's been like? Has that affected the way you look at music now, in the sense that there's so much ideas and different concepts coming towards you, and your role as a producer is now to maybe nudge it in the right direction?
Yeah, because I didn't go to so I graduated with education as my degree,
Right.
and I minored in music, but specifically in classical guitar performance.
Okay.
So when I came back from the States, I went to college in the US, and when I came back, I was like, music? No, I'm not going to be doing music. So I came back and I started working at the school.
Right.
I was teaching, I was developing pedagogical tools.
Yeah.
I was planning with teachers for math and physics, and then suddenly
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I should take doing music a little seriously for
Yeah.
And so I was sort of thrown into that producer role super quickly, because the first album the first EP that I produced, which was Random Gyan, I had no idea what I was doing. I had zero clue. I had some experience as an audio engineer in my college,
Okay.
but that was for recording orchestras and chamber music, and because it was a conservatory I went to,
Okay.
a classical conservatory. So there was no electric guitars and drum
Yeah.
kits and
Yeah.
stuff. So how do I mic a drum kit? How do I mic a cab? I had no clue about any of that. And in that sort of ego, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to build a studio.
Make my own
experience.
studio.
Zero experience in any of that. So I spent 3 months on YouTube just looking at how to build a studio,
Yeah.
and, doing all of that shit. The when you say that I'm a producer, for most people, that's very elusive in terms of what do you actually do? Because if you say you're a drummer of a band,
It's very...
they know exactly.
They
They can
know, yeah.
visualize what you do. If you say I'm a producer, I produced this band, they're like,
It's hard to visualize.
Yeah.
what does that mean exactly?
True. I mean, it's no surprise that it's been difficult for most musicians since this sort of lockdown started.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot of stuff, obviously, with teaching and
Yes.
online collaborations and stuff.
Yes.
Has it been difficult for you? What do you think the biggest challenge with working sort of remotely has been in the last couple of months?
I think it's been, just personally, it's
Yeah.
been great.
Yeah.
It's been great. So what happened is, I got really lucky. A day before the lockdown, I drove down to Ahmedabad. My dad was like, you haven't seen us in 2 years. Why don't you
Might as well stop by for a while.
stop by, for 3 days?
Yeah.
Genius, a master stroke. I was like, no, that, it's gonna take a long time. He's like, just drive down, alright?
Yeah.
So I drive down, and as soon as I get there, turn on the news, nationwide lockdown.
Yeah.
Looking at dad like,
That was-
well done, dad, well done.
Smart decision.
Good one,
Master
Pops.
stroke, yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm chilling at home, and instantly, so I have a lot of students in Bombay. There's 50 students per week that come in. There are ensembles, there are solo drummers, there are vocalists, and there's a music school that I'm running. It's a full-on,
Like an academy.
it's a full-on academy happening. And when I got here, it was gone. I was just like, oh my god, this 3-day thing this is gonna be...
It's extended for much longer than we expected.
Yeah.
And you just started
Yeah.
CounterPoint at that point, right?
No. I've been running CounterPoint for 2 years at this point.
Okay.
And man, I got here. 20 days go by, and I start going. That's it. I have to start this. Otherwise, it's just gonna, everything that I've built up till now for myself as a teacher, to all my students, to the ensembles. There was a CounterPoint performance supposed to happen. It's all just gonna, these people are just gonna leave.
Yeah.
And then I started calling them up and being like, yo, let's do half an hour online lessons. And out of the 30 drummers that I have, 15 of them agreed. So first 5 of them agreed. Then
Then you
slowly
build the
everyone
lifestyle.
everything came into place. Then there's a performance I put up. I love how I said that. There's a company called Salam Bombay.
Okay.
There's a week concert for students that happens every year. It's one of the biggest things that I do as a teacher. There's like 250, 300 people audition. We select 100 people. We put them into 20 bands. They have a huge performance, like a production, and all the money goes to a charity to educate underprivileged kids.
Oh wow.
It is awesome. It's also very difficult. And it has me playing several roles, like sit at the table at the NCPA and figure out the tech and speak. So it's like several things are happening. So shout out to Salam Bombay. Those guys are awesome.
For
So
sure.
this time, I reached out to Raag, and I'll never forget that phone call. Raag was like, okay, so what's up? I was like, we need to make loads and loads of videos of these kids who are going to be in different parts of Bombay and all over the world actually, and put them together and make them seem like they're performing.
And I can't even imagine how the kids must have reacted to that, having to suddenly.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Wait, this is happening. I'm excited.
Yeah, wow.
They're going to be super pumped about it.
They're like, wow, I'm gonna play some drums, and then
And there'll be a
6
band
days
suddenly.
later
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
a full
yeah,
band
yeah.
playing. Which I love being that person, and man, I love through you. This is happening, by the way. Without Raag here, we've done Salam Bombay.
Okay.
We've done other student performances. We've done CounterPoint's first annual day performance.
That's right, yeah.
If Raag wasn't here, if we didn't connect, none of that would have happened.
Oh, nice, man.
So through this lockdown, let's say that is one part of things that happen, online classes and these performances. Writing music and coming up with music has always been very comfortable for me when I get to my house. My house, to me, is the most beautiful house in the world.
Like a safe space where you can...
it's there's trees everywhere. My house is just a very comfortable space for me.
Right.
So whether it's Marshall and the Mischief, Family Cheese, or YodaDrunk, I've always written music at home. And this time, as soon as I got back in the first 10 days, I wrote this track called I Break, and I sent it to Nirmit to be produced. So as I was putting out Sweetheart, I put out another song and I sent it to the producer.
Right.
And I borrowed your mic.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
If Raag wasn't done, bro, I'd be in
You
so
should
much
start just
trouble.
lending out equipment. Just start that.
I do that anyways.
Dude,
Raag,
yeah, in a way, he has done that. He has been my enabler in Amdavadi. He's like, you don't worry, bro, got you.
I got
bro."
your stuff covered.
I got
Don't
you.
worry, bro. Yeah.
So one song written, sent for production. Another song is written. So now I Broke is produced and it's complete.
Right.
And before it was done, I wrote another track.
Okay.
And I've sent that as well. So I don't get time like this. So this time, 2 new tracks for YodaDrunk. We did a recording at Compass Box, dude. That was, oh my
Killer.
god. Okay, wait 1 second. Man, I just gotta say this. I love this studio.
Shout out, Compass Box.
Shout out, bro. Shout out, Compass Box. Dude, I love the studio. The first time I went there was for Chirag Tori's recording.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Cherry.
Cherry.
Cherry! Okay. Cherry on the top. Okay. So we go for Cherry's recording. I'm recording the drums. And I've heard all the sessions they've done. They sound ridiculously good.
Right.
Like I've checked out sessions that happen all over Bombay, Pune, the studios that do the sessions, and even when you compare it to those studios, I can just tell that the quality of sound and the comfort level of the people performing, it's impeccable. It's incredible. You've done a great job.
It's so
And-
cool
and
because
I'll
this is
tell
like
you-
the feedback that initially we wanted people,
That's right.
Yes.
ideally to
Yeah.
give. Yeah.
And it's more than just, yes, the quality is unbelievable. There's a comfort level with the space as well. Like, for example, just to give everyone a little bit of a background, there's a beautiful property called the Riverside School. The Riverside School is fantastic. It's a property that Raag's mum owns. The property itself has a vibe.
It does have a very specific
It has a
vibe,
specific vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that. It's the vibe that a really good school would have, and a school like MGIS, like a different thinking
Yeah.
school, you
Yeah.
know, a school that will be like, go pursue music. It's
Right.
one of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
spaces. You climb up the staircase, you go to the studio, and there is a super professional studio. So the level of comfort and the level of being like, there's a moment to sit down, think, be thoughtful about what you're putting out, and then record it.
Yeah.
That I really appreciate about the
Right,
space.
right, right.
But as I was saying, everyone performing there, no, they look comfortable. They look happy to be there. They look happy to be performing.
That's awesome.
I've
That's-
seen other sessions in which musicians look and sound like they're being rushed.
Really? Like they're forced to be there or something?
No, they look like they're being rushed.
Okay.
Like, I better get this take
We
right.
gotta get it done.
Because
right.
after this, I'm gonna get kicked out of here.
I want to talk about your latest release, Sweetheart.
Yeah.
Not only is it a really cool like pop techno song and
Yeah.
single itself, but you also did it for a really interesting cause.
Yes.
And it's incredibly important right now because this
Yeah.
month is also World Suicide
Prevention
Month.
Month, yeah.
So can you maybe tell us like what inspired or how did you end up collaborating with that with your mom's organization?
Yes.
And how did you sort of raise funds through that single?
Sure. So I remember sitting down. This is before I what I primarily do is I play drums and I write music. This is just since we're here, since we're talking
Yeah.
about this. He's a vocalist. He's a this. Whatever. I play drums and I write music. Like those are my two strengths. Like in terms of composition, if I get to write a percussive piece first and then compose Sweetheart and YodaDrunk's music is ingrained with that quality. It's like heavy percussive stuff
That's true,
meets interesting and different writing.
Yeah.
So Sweetheart is a song that like the rhythm structure came first and this melody and the lyric, it only started, this is way before I knew I was going to do YodaDrunk. This is just a writing exercise. It was just me messing around with logic. And this lyric would keep messing with, like, Sweetheart, I can't believe that you abandoned me this way. And I was also going through a very strange minute in my life as well, wherein I was trying to appease to the cool crowd and
Do you mean the cool crowd in the genre that you
in
were
the
trying to-
music circuit,
Okay.
the people in the music circuit,
Okay.
and I was going through a very strange thing in terms of substances,
Right.
in terms of being around the just not great people.
For sure.
And I started to believe this lie, I'd say, that I'd be like, these people are going to help me achieve my goal.
Okay.
So I need to appease.
Right.
What they expect out of you.
Right.
Right, okay.
That's when, in a very frustrated moment, the lyrics of this song poured out.
Interesting. Okay.
And to me, that has always been a moment in which I felt like my mental health was at an all-time low.
Okay.
Because I was at my fakest, weirdest moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was feeling it and I was sensing it. And to me, this style of writing, my way of writing has been like therapy for myself. Like whenever I find myself doing something stupid, I've written a lyric about it. Like your silence has been the answer to my question. Finally, you have awoken. Don't underestimate the things that you're dealing with.
Right.
You know, like, sweetheart, I can't believe that you've abandoned me this way is literally a person speaking to themselves.
Okay.
So it is about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was releasing it, I was speaking to this guy, Casey from Lemonade Social represents. Okay.
A lot of shout outs in this video.
Shout
Yeah,
out,
they
shout
got
out.
to
So
be
that should
right,
help
yeah.
us network a little bit.
Correct. So, Casey and Roshni from Lemonade Social, great crew, alright. They are a live streaming platform. And I was putting up a lot of, just all I had in Amdavadi was an acoustic guitar and my phone. So I was putting out content like that, which I got sick of doing. So, he was speaking to me, he's like, love what you're doing, love the space. Are you releasing anything? I was like, yes, I'm releasing Sweetheart. He was like, what is it about? I was like, it's about, in a way, it's about mental health as well. You know, in a way, it's about so many different facets of my life, things working out, things not working out, but in a hopeful way.
Right.
And then he was like, okay, you know what, speak to me a little more. What else is going on? So I then happened to mention to him that my mum is the director of an organization called SAT.
Okay.
SAT is a suicide prevention center, which is like a hotline. Suppose someone is feeling suicidal, depressed, upset, anxious. They can call this number and they can speak to a trained professional, and the person is not even going to ask them their name. So they're just there
completely
for
anonymous.
Completely anonymous. They're just there to offer them support till they're feeling fine. Their phone call can go on and on, and then they just. And the reason I jumped on this idea, dude, I was very close. I wouldn't say it all that close, but there was a friend of mine in Bombay. His name is Karan Joseph.
Okay.
And about 2 years ago, this guy committed suicide. There are speculations about whether he did it himself or.
Right.
And that affected the entire music fraternity. The music fraternity in Bombay, we are all friends, but in moments we're not also. It's a
Right.
strange one. We come
It's
together.
part competitive, part
Also.
friendship, and yeah.
So when that happened, I found myself sitting with all the musicians there, and we were all feeling horrible that it happened, and we
shaken
knew why it was happening. The dude was in a dark place. But what happens is that everyone's putting up this
Front.
of being very strong and having it all together, you know.
Which oftentimes people are forced to do.
Are forced with
Yeah.
you kind of have, and what happened is this dude is putting up this front just like everyone is, and then this happened. And by the end of this entire thing, I had not only launched Sweetheart, not only hit the idea behind what the track was talking about, but we've collected 2,70,000 rupees
Wow.
for Saath, because
That's
these
pretty
people do this incredible work with no support. How do they earn money? They don't. They're an NGO. So we need to be talking about this.
Yeah,
and
for
right
sure.
when it was happening, the Sushant Singh case
Right.
was
Yeah.
literally happening right then.
Timeline sort of like
So
came
people
together.
were like, "Oh my God, this is the
Pertinent
dialogue
and-
that we need to open
Absolutely.
up." You know. So
Definitely.
it all fell into place beautifully, and I'm very happy to have done it. It's
Yeah.
something I kept thinking, and you know how it is. As a musician, you're like, "Do I want to speak about this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, my inner bitch is like,
Do I
what
wanna
are people
put this
gonna
out?
say? What are
Yeah,
people, you know?
yeah.
And then I was like, what are you talking about? It's a good thing.
Right.
It's your help. So I had to go ahead and do it. And I'm very glad that it
Do you think
happened.
that's like a common trend among musicians, that there's a sort of hesitance to talk about or take particular stands for social issues? Or,
Yes.
Or do you
100%.
think?
Absolutely, right? I mean, because
Yes.
everything in music, at least now, has become so polarized and so political
Yeah.
that anything, if you talk about, I mean, let's say if you talk about the government, or if you talk about mental illness, if you talk about depression, and then there's this weird sort of sense that, okay, if you're writing a song about depression, that's great and all, but then if you have personal, so your art is a representation of your views anyways, right? Okay, so let's say you have a song that's talking about depression and all. But then if you put out tweets talking about depression and stuff like that, you'll be shunned, or you'll be like, man, look at this poser. Why is he trying so hard to do this? And it's like, I'm not trying hard or anything. This is literally what I believe and I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But then they'll celebrate the art sometimes. They'll be like, oh, this is a great initiative, great song and all. But then
when it comes to
as long as it's a one-off.
Yeah.
What happens is you don't want to fall into a mold. There are these things like, oh, he's talking about this. He must have agenda. Oh, she like, and there are several molds like that. Talking about a heavy issue is one mold. Wearing revealing clothes is another mold. You know, like there are molds like this, and the answer to your question is yes. Not only is there a second thought, I know for a fact, because I have become that person who pushes people out of those molds, that people are literally not releasing things and not speaking up on things because they're afraid. Because of exactly that. Because they think they can't talk about it. Because who am I to speak about it? But that's the problem, that if everyone's thinking like that, then no one's doing it, and that's going to be a huge problem.
For sure.